Hey guys, what's up? We are live with the director from Twinsanity, Buz Wallick. We have him on the phone right now.
Hi.
Thank you again so much for coming to do this. A lot of the people on the stream have actually watched the movie, and we really loved it.
That's nuts to me. Nuts that people actually watch the movie, and nuts that people actually like the movie. But thank you guys for that. That's very nice of everybody.
That's so funny. So, like, this is actually your first time directing a film, right? Because you've produced a lot of stuff before.
Yeah, this was my first feature film as a director. I think it was my 9th movie producing.
Wow.
But was my first time in the director's seat as well as producing.
What was that like, getting to direct compared to like producing? What do you think the biggest difference was?
The biggest difference is that, there's a lot more. So when I'm producing, a lot of the time when issues arise, they're usually for budgetary, schedule, logistic, things like that. And I'm a very good problem solver, and, you have to be quick on your feet when you're, managing that many people on a film set, whether it be producing or directing. When I was directing, though, the problem shifted from, there were still budgetary issues, obviously, just because, that's the nature of independent film, but the more the questions sort of arose to being more like, wait, what color? We can't get this color for the room you want. What color now do you want? And I have to be like, this blue. That's a simplified version, but the questions and the issues that arose were way more in line with creative decisions as opposed to logistical and budgetary.
Wow. I don't know, like, just producing in general sounds like a headache. So just congrats to you for like producing that many films in general.
It takes a very certain type of personality. To be perfectly honest with you, I did not move to Los Angeles. I didn't, when I was 10 years old, I wasn't making movies in my backyard going, I can't wait to be a producer. It's kind of one of those things that we all just, accidentally, pardon my language, stumble dick into.
Yeah.
I just kind of was like, this is something I'm good at that I can do. And I kind of saw it as a way to like, eventually I can work my way into getting one of these scripts to produce and be like, I could save some money if I directed this. And, talking someone into letting me do that. So that was sort of the way I did that and got the director job on the movie.
Oh, that's so cool. It was really good. I was gonna say one of my notes was like I wouldn't have known someone just like was first time directing something, because just like the shots were so good and everything about it. But you have a lot of other things on your belt, because I was just looking on your IMDb. It's just like cinema photographer, actor, like pretty much everything.
Yeah, when I first came to LA, I didn't really stay in my lane. I bounced around trying to figure out what would get me to director quick enough, and eventually that moved me into the production world as an assistant director, and then that moved me into producing and then eventually directing. But thank you very much. I mean, I had a great team around me. I'm not going to take all the credit for it. I had a phenomenal DP, Akis Konstanopoulos, who's amazing, and he's DP'd a lot of the films I've produced, and so this was a really cool experience hopping in creatively with him, and being able to solve issues creatively, and not having to really go to Akis and be like, we're going into overtime, Akis, we can't do that. I could make the call and be like, no, we got to go into overtime because I got to get this shot. But we spent a lot of time crafting everything and being very meticulous, and I drew from a lot of films I love. Like I drew a lot from like Brian De Palma. Not that it's I did it well or anything, but there's specific shots that I ripped off from De Palma in the movie. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Blowout with John Travolta.
I can't say I have. Sorry.
It's a phenomenal movie,
Okay.
and anybody watching this, if you guys have not seen Blowout, go watch it immediately.
Okay.
But that is where I ripped off that 360 shot. There's an amazing shot in Blowout where there's a 360 shot with John Travolta, and so I wanted to do something similar, and I can't believe we pulled it off in this movie.
That's so cool. I don't know, that's so cute, like getting to live your dreams. Was it a lot of fun, like actually getting to direct it for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it's really interesting you kind of brought up the whole producing and directing thing. This is me getting really pretentious with the script and the movie, but I did see the movie as, in terms of what I took away from it, was with the twins, the girls, one of them was the producer in me and one of them was the director. and how do you make that relationship work, and what are the ways it's not going to work, and what are the ways it's you're going to destroy yourself if you don't let it, if you don't let those things coalesce. So that was really what I kind of was, for me personally, that was what the message was in the film, is that right side of your brain versus left side of the brain, the creative versus logistical. Obviously, in the movie, Leanne is the far more crazy psychopath, and I'm not a psychopath producer in any way, but it was interesting when I first read the script. Up until the end of the movie, up until she murdered somebody, I was 100% on Leanne's side. Like, really? That's just who I am as a person. I was like, what? Her sister is this flighty girl. She's taking all the money and she's leaving town, leaving her sister hanging. No, Leanne's totally in the right here. And then she stabs somebody, and I was like, okay, maybe not.
Okay, that's a conversation I have to have in my chat later, because I didn't even think of that, because I thought we were all Team Celeste, to be honest. And now I feel conflicted. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's sort of why the movie is. One of the things I tried to do was I did want to leave audiences who watch it. They could walk away going, Leanne had a point, or Celeste had a point. It kind of just depends on who you are as a person. I mean, obviously, we can all agree Leanne stabbing people is not good.
Yeah, let's all agree on that.
Shouldn't be supported. But in terms of their perspective and point of view, I think Leanne has a leg to stand on, as does Celeste. And that was the really difficult juggling act while we were developing the movie, and while I was directing it as well as editing it, was making sure that we weren't making one side too amoral, or that you couldn't identify with one over the other kind of thing, up until Leanne stabbed somebody.
Yeah, for sure. I think that definitely comes across now. Now I'm interested to see what other people thought about that. Guys, if you're in the chat, let me know. We need to know. But
are people chatting right now? Are they like throwing questions out?
Yeah, it's live right now. So like, there's people in the chat and they're all listening in.
How do I get to your chat? I want to read all this stuff as they're saying terrible things about me.
No, they're not. They literally just want to know about the pineapple. Everyone thinks there's some significance with the pineapple, and I don't know why.
Okay, so a couple things with the pineapple. There's a pretentious creative reason, and then there's another reason. The pretentious creative reason is that I am always a fan with characters of giving them a thing that is just a relatable thing. For instance, I'm going to reference a movie I love and cherish, and that is The Exorcist. Have you seen The Exorcist, Chelsea?
Yes, I've seen that.
Okay, so in The Exorcist, there is the Detective Kinderman, who's this, kind of daunting character that shows up, and he's investigating this murder, and you think, he's kind of this scary guy who's, you might find out that, Chris is keeping her possessed kid up in the attic. And so, to really instantly develop his character, he's talking to Father Karras, the main priest in the movie, and in the middle of their conversation, he just kind of goes, "Do you like movies? I love movies. My favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life." And he just goes on this kind of small random tangent about how much he likes movies and It's a Wonderful Life, and that ties into the fact that the main character, Chris O'Neill, is also an actress, and so him getting an autograph from her, it all kind of plays into that. But it's just this kind of fun, cute thing about that character of like, well, yeah, he's Detective Kinderman, he's a cop, and he also likes movies. It's a fun little character trait.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted with the characters to sort of give them this thing. With Leanne, it was pineapple. Like, she just really likes pineapple, and it's just kind of this random thing. She likes pineapple. With Sergio, he has the, pardon my egotistical choice for Buzzy beans, the jelly beans. He likes candy. He eats candy for breakfast. It's not related to anything in the overall story, but it's kind of a cute character trait of like, yeah, he likes candy. Who doesn't like candy for breakfast? That would be rad. And Leanne, it was pineapple. Now, the pineapple thing really actually came from there was a scene in the original script where Celeste is walking around the resort, and originally the whole thing took place in Hawaii, and so they walk past a pineapple vendor, and the pineapple vendor goes, "Oh, hi, you back for more?" And then Celeste's like, "Wait, what?" And it's another clue that Leanne is there, you know. And I cut it because we didn't have the time to shoot that. I didn't have the budget to have another actor, you know, all that stuff. But I kept all the stuff with her basically still going, "You want any pineapple? I like pineapple," you know, just because I thought it was a fun character trait. So that's where the pineapple came from.
That's amazing. Everyone's really excited that there's a story for that. That's so cute. Blue Strike wants to know, what was your favorite aspect on the movie's plot?
My favorite aspect of the movie's plot, like I said, it was really the idea of left brain, right brain, coming to head, and how do we I think that's something I think everybody struggles with, is dealing with your listening to your heart or listening to your brain, you know, or left side, right brain, you know, that kind of thing. Because we all both have these different synapses that fire off in our brains. You know, one is the emotional appeal, one is the logistical fact appeal, and sometimes those things can be at odds. And if you don't know how to properly coalesce those thoughts and feelings, you potentially can drive off a cliff. and that was the thing that really attracted me to the script, was that whole idea. And I knew I was going to be dealing with that as a director now and being a producer and trying to balance that life out.
Oh, I like that. And you totally just answered my question. It was like, basically that was it. I lost it. Hold on. Sorry. Someone else asked a question. There it is. Milo wants to know, what was it like working with twins? Sorry.
Well, I oddly enough have a lot of, I know a lot of twins. My high school sweetheart was a twin. I know a lot about them. And so it wasn't that weird. Like, it's one of those things, like, after I met them, I could tell them apart instantly. Like, you know, one sounded a little bit different, one had a little bit of a different nose, you know, like, it was not that difficult to figure out who was who. And they're just people, you know, they're just sisters. It's not as weird as you might think. But then again, I don't know, I'm just able to tell twins apart very easily.
It sounds like this whole movie just kind of came full circle with your life. That's pretty cool.
Pretty much, yes.
How did you get into, like, the film industry, and especially with this, with doing, like, a psychological thriller? I don't know, it's a hard genre, so how did you get into that?
Well, I have always loved horror movies, and, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this question, so let me see how I can do this succinctly. I got into the film industry through dreadcentral.com. When I was very young, I basically started doing camera operating and doing like red carpets and interviewing people at conventions and press tables and all that stuff. So I eventually, when I was in college, became the head of video development at dreadcentral.com. And that was all due to Steve Barton, who's Uncle Creepy, who was the original editor-in-chief at Dread Central, as well as John Condit, who was the, I believe, COO. You know, they really gave me the shot, and that introduced me to a lot of people, including my best friend, Andrew Cash, who was like, "Hey, you're a pretty good, you know, DP. Do you want to help me with this short film I'm doing?" And I was like, you know, I was in high school, I think, and I was like, yeah, that'd be amazing. And so I came on board as a cinematographer, and then I eventually brought money to the short, and I became a producer on it. The short film is called Thirsty, by the way. If you look up on YouTube, Thirsty short film, it's about a guy trying to quench his thirst for a cherry slushie, and it is a really funny, fun horror short. Highly recommend for people. So I've been very much involved in the horror community and horror genre coming up, and that was really how I got my break, was through Dread Central, and that got me a lot of contacts, and then eventually just kind of started making more and more contacts and getting onto sets as a PA and whatnot, and doing documentaries about horror movies, like Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy, I was a cinematographer on. You know, just through all those contacts, eventually was able to, you know, work my way up the ladder. In terms of like psychological thriller, you're right. That is a very difficult genre because you can't go too hard and you can't go too soft. You need to really kind of sweet middle. But as much as I love horror films, I also am a huge David Fincher fan and a huge like Silence of the Lambs fan. I count those movies a lot as horror films. Like Seven, I think, is at its heart and soul a horror movie, but it's also a psychological thriller. I don't think those genres need to be mutually exclusive. So like Silence of the Lambs is one of my all-time favorite movies. I adore that
same.
film. Most people think that movie is a psychological thriller, which my response is a dude cuts off another dude's face and puts it on his own face. It's a horror movie. There's another dude making a suit made of women. It's a horror movie, but it plays with your head, and the horror is extremely psychological because it's not set up, jump, boo, scare, and then you're done. It is unnerving, and it carries that through. And I think that's the idea of a psychological thriller, is that it's in a constant state of unrest. And that was sort of the idea with, Twinsanity, was like just kind of keeping up with this constant threat of Leanne. She's the shark in Jaws. She's not always there, but when she is, things are, you feel uneasy. It's not necessarily jump out and spook you. It's a feeling of uneasiness that, carries out through the movie.
That's amazing. Well, like, congratulations on working your way up. That's super cool, because everything is really hard, and I don't think people understand like exactly how hard it is to get a movie made and to just work anywhere in the industry. It's really hard. So that's cool that you were able to like figure out a way and directed your first film.
Well, just advice to everyone out there. It's talent is definitely part of it. Not to say I'm talented, but the biggest thing in Hollywood and making it in the film industry and in entertainment industry in general, it's perseverance. You gotta be able to take the hits and keep going. To quote Rocky Balboa, it doesn't matter how hard you hit, it matters how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. All the successful people I know in the industry have taken a lot of hits. Very few people wake up and are famous, and those that do that, they tend to burn bright and fast, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
It's all about just working through everything and persevering.
No, yeah, I think that's like really great too, and I think it's just like not about being like famous. I don't think it matters if you're famous, but you're working. You're working on all these projects and doing different things.
Yeah, well, yeah, but look, I mean, it's still hard. I directed a movie, 1 year ago. Starting now, I was on set 1 year ago today.
Wow.
Doing Twinsanity. After I did that movie, it wasn't like I started getting offers to direct other things and all this stuff. I was out of work for like 7 months.
Wow.
And I was losing my mind because I'm a workaholic. I have to keep moving, and it was really depressing. I ran out of savings. I had to start Ubering just to make ends meet. It is hard. And now I'm, about to start another movie tomorrow. I'm producing, not directing, but I'm producing another thriller tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. But, it's not all sunshine and roses. Sometimes it's feast or famine. And unfortunately, after I got my big break, it was famine for a while. And you have to be able to deal with that. You have to be able to move forward. And you can't be – there's a lot of people I know that are like – wake up and go, no, I want to be a director. And then when they're not a director, they're like, well, I can't do anything else. And it's like, well, dude, if you want to direct, go wait tables until you can, and keep doing short films on the weekends. You got to pay your bills. You got to be an adult. And, look, there's a lot of us that are going to get to a point where you go, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you go and get a regular job, and that's that. No big deal. It's fine. It's okay to do that. It's not the end of the world. But there's some people that refuse to take the lower positions because they're above it, and I'm not above that kind of stuff. Like if Michael Bay called me tomorrow and told me to PA on a Transformers movie, I'd do that in a heartbeat. I've produced 10 independent films of all varying degrees of success, but if Michael Bay's calling me or Steven Spielberg's calling me, a big time studio wants me to PA in a movie, I'm there. There's no ego whatsoever about that.
Right. I'll get you coffee. Like, I'll pay for your coffee.
Yeah. If Steven Spielberg wants me to go get him coffee, no problem.
Right.
Yes, and where?
We need you to be a motivational speaker.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
I have like 3 more questions, if that's
Keep
fine
going.
with
Yeah,
you.
you're fine. You're
Okay.
totally fine.
So, this being your first directing thing, what was the biggest challenge you faced, and how did you overcome that?
Biggest challenge I faced, it would be time. Just trying to fit all of the story. We only had 14 days.
Wow.
So the biggest thing I did was, a lot of the time when you're doing a movie, you schedule out a film based on page count, how many pages you're doing per day, right? And the way we break down script pages, I'm putting this out in layman terms. I apologize if anyone already knows this stuff, and I'm not patronizing anybody. I'm just trying to be as open and clear as possible. So when you break down a script, each page is broken up into eighths. So you have, if it's a 3/8 of a page, if the scene is only 3/8 of a page, it's in the top, like it's just a quarter of the page, or it's 4/8 would be half the page, in terms of the scene. So you usually will average about 5 to 6 pages per day on a schedule, on schedules like this, on independent films. If you're Clint Eastwood, you're doing, 2/8 of a page, because they have the money and they have the time. We do 12-hour days in a 6-page day, and it's, you get 2 or 3 takes per setup, and that's it. You have to move really, really fast. So the big thing for me was, we had a lot of stuff, a lot of locations, and a lot of things going on, with stunts and, hands coming out of people's backs and vans going over cliffs. There's a lot of crap in this movie that, for a limited schedule and a limited budget. So the thing I kind of tapped into was, I scheduled my days by setup. As a mentor of mine once said, Neil Kinsella, who's no longer with us, R.I.P. Neil. He was a first AD, and I was a second AD under him, and I learned a lot how to make movies under him. And he had an old saying that was, "It's not the time it takes to take, it's the time between the takes that takes the time."
That's amazing.
And so for me, I knew, okay, it's not going to matter. If I have 2 people talking for 10 pages, it's just 2 people talking. I can do that, because guess what the setups are? It's a wide, establish the space, 2 characters in the space, and then it's an over-the-shoulder on one side, over-the-shoulder on the other side, and then a close-up on one side and a close-up on the other. That is only 5 setups. That's
ridiculous.
Easy. 5 setups. So if you're averaging 20 minutes per setup, that's half your day. That's no problem. You can totally do that.
Yeah.
So I kept my schedule to doing 20 to 25 setups a day. And so some days we would have like a 12-page day, but it's no big deal, because we only had 18 setups. But then we would have like a 2-page day, but I had 30 setups.
Wow.
And those days are insane, because it's not the time it takes to take, it's the time between the takes time.
Say that 5 times fast. That's crazy.
It's not the time it takes time between. Damn it! I already screwed it up. Sorry, Neil.
That's ridiculous, but amazing at the same time that anything gets done.
Listen, it's a small miracle to get money to make a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's another small miracle that you actually get to shoot the movie. It's another small miracle that you release the movie, and it's an even smaller miracle that people watch the movie, and it's even a smaller miracle that people like the movie.
Wow.
Making films is a series of random, uncontrollable variables and miracles.
That's crazy. And I think you hear that even about the biggest films, because even like The Shining, I believe when it came out, no one liked it. And it was just
tons of
film.
stuff. I mean, Shawshank Redemption bombed at the box office.
Yeah.
Jaws was 6 months over schedule and millions of dollars over budget, and it was going to destroy Steven Spielberg's career when that movie came out and didn't do anything, and then it came out and suddenly it was the biggest film of all time.
It's still amazing to this day.
Which, by the way, speaking of Jaws, did anyone catch the Jaws references in the movie?
Now I gotta rewatch it. Shoot.
There's a really big one. It's in your face the whole movie.
No.
The name of the resort and town they're staying in is called Quint's Cove.
Oh.
I named it after the character Quint in Jaws.
Yeah, that went right over my head. I don't think I was even thinking about that.
Yeah,
That's
Jaws
amazing.
is my all-time favorite movie, so that's also why I set the film around 4th of July. Well, also, and the movie was dealing with independence, so I thought it was kind of a clever way of tying that together, setting it around a holiday. Plus, I always like setting movies around holidays because it's cool set dressing. You know, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
So that was the big reason why that was set around. It was because it was going to give me cool red, white, and blue set dressing, and because I love Jaws.
That's super cool. I love Easter eggs. Jaws is like one of the best films ever. I feel so stupid now.
All-time favorite movie.
I saw your Twitter. I'm gonna say this wrong, heater, header, however you say it, and I was like, yes, I love it.
Oh, the calendar shoot thing I did?
Yes, amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, on my Twitter header, yeah. Yeah, okay. It's the marquee for Jaws.
Another question was, I know, like, before the movie was called Downward Twin, and then it changed to Twinsanity. What was the decision on that?
That is a thing about the film industry is that sometimes when it goes to your financier, your distributor, sales and marketing takes over, and they do what they're going to do. I'm not Martin Scorsese, so I don't have any control over that. So they'll take the title and they go, this isn't going to sell as well. Let's call it Twinsanity. People will like that. And I go, okay. There's nothing I can do.
Crazy.
You know, I liked Downward Twin. I thought that was an interesting, title. Mm-hmm. But I also understand the sales aspect of it. That Twinsanity is definitely something that people go, what's Twinsanity? That, it tells you exactly what kind of movie you're into, or you're in for, in terms of, like, it's going to be a thriller, there's twins, one's crazy.
Right.
And that's kind of what you look for in these type of movies, where someone's scrolling through iTunes and they come across it and they go, Twinsanity? All right, let me check it out.
Yeah. I guess I can see that. I really like the poster. I think the poster was really, like, eye-catching with the whole yin and yang thing.
Yeah, I really like that too, and that's both the girls too. Like in the red is I think Katie Strain, who played Leanne, and then in the white it's Carissa Strain, who played Celeste.
That's so cool. They were really good too. They're really good actresses.
Yeah, they're great. And if you ever want to have them on, I can definitely make that happen for you.
That'd be crazy. I think my child would freak out.
Yeah, well, they're the Carrie twins because they were in Carrie, the 2013 remake.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Oh my gosh. I'm looking. I think I had one other thing, but I have one question I ask every guest that comes on here, if that's okay. Are you like into superheroes?
Yeah, I used to read comics all the time. I'm not, in super hot on the whole Marvel movie train. I like some of them. I only really love two of them. But I used to read comics all the time when I was growing up. I am a huge Batman nerd. Huge Batman nerd.
Oh, don't get my chat started on Batman.
They don't like Batman, or they do
crazy
love
Batman. They literally just got me into it because I kind of never seen the like Dark Knight and all those. I never seen them, so like they forced me to watch them. Now we're all big Batman fans.
Yeah, I adore Batman. If you want, I can give you a list of some great Batman books to read.
Okay.
There is some. You should definitely read The Long Halloween.
Okay.
It's my favorite Batman trade. You can get the trade book that has all the issues in one thing. But The Long Halloween is what the main thing they used for the jumping off point for The Dark Knight.
Oh wow. Okay. I'll definitely check that out. It sounds like a good title too.
Yeah. I love The Long Halloween. It's fantastic. There's a lot of great Batman books out there. The Killing Joke, which I think is the new Joaquin Phoenix is going to be based on, is really good. The Dark Knight Returns with written by Frank. Can't remember his last name. The guy who did 300. But yeah, I do love superheroes, and when it comes to like Batman and Punisher, stuff like that.
Okay, here comes the actual question.
Okay, sorry, that was a tangent.
No, they love it. So if you could bring any superhero with you into the zombie apocalypse, you only get to pick one. Who are you bringing with you? Batman.
It's no question. No question.
Why?
Batman,
Why Batman?
Batman can beat an alien from another planet that has super strength and impenetrable skin with laser eyes.
Batman?
Yeah, you have no problem if you bring Batman into the zombie apocalypse. None.
Okay, interesting. I guess he can like has a lot of cool gadgets, but
Well, and he's intelligent. He'd
true.
probably, honestly, in the world of like zombies and whatnot, if you have Batman and Bruce Wayne, like, you know, the dude's probably going to come up with a cure by the end of the year.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Everyone's saying it's Frank Miller, I think is what you were
Oh
looking
yes,
for.
Frank Miller. Thank you. Yes, Frank Miller.
So, yeah. Uh,
Um,
Let me get the room chat. There we go. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you had fun. Thank you so much for answering our questions.
yeah. Was there any other ones? I can answer. There's more. I got 5 more minutes.
Okay, 5 more minutes. Okay, I thought you had to go. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Sorry, I don't want to outstay my welcome, but
no,
you know,
you're.
if the chat had more questions, I got 5 minutes. I
Right.
I can definitely answer any more stuff.
Let me go back into my question room.
Okay. I just can't believe people like this movie. It's one of those things. As like a filmmaker, you kind of, I don't know. It's hard to be objective about anything. Mm-hmm. So it's, you know, I've seen the movie so many times. I'm just kind of like, how could anyone like this?
I think we're all like that kind of to ourselves, because I think that even about my stream right now. I'm like, why are people watching this? But I thought it was really good, and I know my chat, because we talked about it a little bit. You know, just especially for being an independent film, like at that caliber, just the shots were so unique and everything about it was really cool. Especially everyone loved like the whole thing when she was kind of going crazy, seeing the visions of her sister with the hand coming out, and we even have like a twin in our Walker horde.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's my favorite scene is the hand coming out.
Yeah.
I really proud of how that all kind of came together, and it's definitely it elicits the biggest response out of people when they watch the movie. There's always a revulsion.
Someone asked how did you get a part of this project? So how did, for like your first directing thing, how did Twinsanity become your first directing debut?
I was producing a film in Knoxville, Tennessee called Nanny Nightmare. Again, sales. We called it Hush Little Baby. By the way, if you guys want some good Lifetime fare, the movie's called Nanny Nightmare. It is on the Lifetime Movie Network. I think you can get it on iTunes now. It's a really sweet little movie. I'm very proud of that flick. But I was on set for that, and the executive producer had flown in and was visiting set. It was the first day, and I was chit-chatting with them outside of set, and I just kind of was like, hey, you know, I would like to direct one of these sometime. And she was like, yeah, I have this script about these twin girls that drove off a cliff based on a true story. That sound interesting to you? And I was like, yes, it does. That does sound interesting. And then when we were done with the movie, she sent me the script, and I was like, I love this. I went and had dinner with the writer, Julian Brody, who's a great guy. I really love Julian. And we kind of talked about the script a little bit. I had some notes and yada, yada, yada. Went back and forth for nearly a year. And I was supposed to produce one movie and ended up falling through. And they were like, screw it. Hey, Buzz, you want to still direct this movie? And I was like, yes, let's do it. And then immediately just all happened at once.
Wow, that's so cool. I don't know.
But you know, that was my 5th movie with, you know, the Mar Vista Entertainment, the company that, you know, financed and distributed the movie. So I built up a lot of goodwill producing movies for them that were fairly successful, and they like me, and they gave me a shot, and I'll forever be grateful for that.
Do you have anything else that like you're in the works of doing? I know you're saying you're producing a movie as well. Do you write as well?
I do on occasion. I don't know how to really put this. I'm a pretty good writer. Like when I get down to it, I can write pretty well. I hate it. I hate writing. Yeah. I like doing punch-up. I like script doctoring. I'll put it to you this way. I don't want to build the popsicle stick house, but I'll totally decorate it. Like, I'm into decorating it, but in terms of gluing the whole thing together, not interesting to me. I don't like it. It takes too long. It's not my thing. There are much more talented people out there for that. But if I get a script, I'm really good with dialogue and adding in little things and, switching things around. Like, I like that part of it, but I'm not. I have scripts I've written that, are in my, back pocket for when I want to do something. I've been trying to raise financing for the last few months for a horror film that I really, really, really want to do. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's a straight horror film, not a psychological thriller or anything. It's very I'll say it's nature run amok. Okay. And it's like my dream project that I'm desperate to do.
Oh, that's so cool. How do you approach a film when you didn't write it, I guess? I don't know, that just seems so interesting to just take on and design something that's already been designed, if that makes sense.
Well, like I said, that's kind of what I like that. Yeah. I like taking the thing that's already been designed and then adding my pizzazz to it and decorating it and putting in a window and maybe making a little chimney that goes on top and decorating the yard. Like, I like doing all that stuff. I just don't want to actually build the house. Some directors are different. Some directors want to have page one rewrites, and it has to be their voice. No one else can do it. And I'm not like that. I very much like building on a foundation. I find that process to be a lot of fun, and I like the creative inspiration. Because a lot of the times I will get creative if I get more creatively inspired when something isn't working. If I'm reading the script and I'm like, it does not make sense that this person is going from point A to point D, and we have no idea what, points B and C are. So I have to then go, all right, I have to creatively figure out how to fix this. And then I get really into it. I'm like, oh, we could do this, this, and this. And then suddenly it breaks the story. And in a good way, like, we say, like, oh, I just broke the story. That's a good thing.
That's so cool. I don't know, it's fun to listen to people who are passionate about what they're doing, and you can definitely tell that you love what you're doing, and that's really cool.
Yeah, well, I've wanted to do this since I was a wee lad at 10 years old, making dinosaur movies in my backyard. My big goal was I need to direct a movie before, by the time I'm 27, because that's when Spielberg directed Jaws. So that was like my goal. It's like, I got to direct something before I am out of 27. And I did it at 28. So I was 1 year up, but I did it. I did it before I was 30, and that's a pretty big thing.
Win. You accomplished it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I did it.
That's fine. It happened, so that's it. Are you stuck doing horror? Is that what you want to do, or do you think you'd ever take on a comedy or drama?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I think the current state of comedy is awful.
Absolutely.
Just in general, I really don't want to. I don't like talking smack on other filmmakers, but I'll say there's a certain big comedy director producer that completely ruined mainstream comedy, and I literally think he's one of the worst filmmakers out there. And all I don't like this whole let's riff for 3 hours and then we'll cobble together a scene, with all these jokes. I prefer funny scripts, write the lines of dialogue, then do that. If something funny, if you ad-lib something in the guise of the script, fine, that works. But this whole let's just get some comedians and then they can just get high and then improv an entire scene and we'll cobble together a movie. I hate that. I think the comedies there really hasn't been a good mainstream comedy in a long time. But I would do a comedy if it wasn't that. In terms of drama, I mean, I would absolutely kill to do a movie like Shawshank Redemption or anything like that, or like a crime movie like Zodiac is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love Zodiac, and that's a police procedural in the guise of a horror film. I find that to be genius. It's really there's the horror stuff all happens within the first act of the movie, and then it's just a couple of guys trying to figure out who did it for an hour and a half, and it's great. I love it. So yeah, I mean, the horror genre is definitely my first love, but I can go everywhere. I think the only thing I would never really be interested in doing is fantasy. And that's nothing against fantasy films. I don't like Sword and Sandal. I'm not like a Middle Earth guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Lord of the Rings. I think they're great. Like, I have the utmost respect, but it just is not interesting to me.
Okay.
So fantasy would probably be the one genre I'd be like, I say that, but if like Peter Jackson called me tomorrow and be like, hey, you want to direct the Lord of the Rings, TV show? I'd be like, yeah.
Hell yeah. I love that.
I hope you don't watch any live streams with a girl named Chelsea on the internet from last night.
Oh my gosh. No, it's the same thing. Like, I'm not into it, but if you want help, yeah.
Yeah. And porn. I obviously would never do porn.
That's a really good thing. Please don't.
Yeah, no, not past that point in my career where it would even make a difference. I'm not. I don't need to build that foundation.
No, this film was so good. Please don't never go down that road. Make your dinosaur films, guys.
Yeah.
Your little toys at home. Someone wants to know real fast, have you seen a film that you looked forward to and then ended up being a disappointment when you saw it?
Yeah, I can tell you the big one. I think we're a few years past, so I can kind of say how I feel about it. But I was so excited for Alien vs. Predator because I love the Alien franchise and I love the Predator franchise. And I've been a fan of that comic book series all my life, and I love it. And when that movie came out, it destroyed me, and I hate it. I hate it so much. It is the worst movie ever. I despise it with everything in my being, and I am upset that it exists.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I think we all agree with that. Yeah.
Good.
Everyone's going off.
There was somebody like Davey P. Kick him out of the chat.
Have you seen the new Predator?
I did.
I haven't seen it. Is it good?
There's good stuff in it. There's portions of the story that I wasn't that into, but then there's portions of it that are really fun and, harken back to the original, and, so, it has some good and it has some bad.
All right.
Sorry, that's my, really terrible politically safe way of describing that movie.
No, it's all right. No, that's the point of our whole movie club is to openly discuss the movies without other people being hurt about other opinions.
Yeah.
So we love it. Oh shoot, we forgot one important question that we always ask too. We need to know your favorite movie.
Jaws.
Jaws? Okay, I think you said that. Yeah, Jaws.
Yeah,
okay.
It goes Jaws, Aliens, Jurassic Park. Those are my top 3 favorite films.
All amazing. Okay. Okay, do you have time for one more question? Because one more just came in.
Yeah, last question, and then I gotta go.
Yeah, Milo wants to know, when you watch a movie, do you watch it for the storyline as a viewer, or do you watch it as the director-producer side?
I watch it for story. I want to have fun characters that I want to go on a ride with. That's the most important thing when watching a television show or a movie is that you can either relate or relate to the situation in some capacity, or you just like the characters enough that you want to go on this ride with them. Bad movies and TV shows tend to have characters that you don't care about and don't want to see succeed or don't want to see fail, or and that is the crux. It doesn't matter how good a movie looks. It doesn't matter how witty the dialogue is. It doesn't matter how well it was directed. If the characters suck, the whole thing falls apart.
Absolutely agree. Oh my gosh. Everyone is amazing. I agree. Sorry.
I'm glad.
So many comments and my mind's jumping, but yes, everything you say, we just want to clap. It's great.
Oh, thanks guys.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us and talking about the movie. I put your Twitter on here if that's okay for people to follow you. To just keep up with what you're doing. If you don't mind staying on the phone, I'm just going to say goodbye to the chat real fast and I'll say bye to you off stream.
Okay.
But thank you again so much. We all love the film, and we hope you continue what you do, and you just keep growing in the industry, because you really do have a future.
And if anyone wants to, if I didn't answer a question, feel free to tweet it at me, and I'll get at you at some point.
Alright, you're going to get all the Batman questions. You shouldn't have done that.
Totally into it.
Alright.